Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be speaking about the 1883 Morgan silver dollar. We're going to tell you everything you want to know, so some basic Morgan dollar history, the specifics of how this date and mint mark was treated, and its history today, whether that means the values on normal ones. We'll get into some of the VAMs or the varieties, where if you look really closely, you might be able to discern something different that collectors are paying up for. We'll talk about the proof-like, deep mirror proof-like, and also some mint error examples, so just cover everything that you need to know about your 1883 Morgan in this video. Let's get right into it. So let's get right into it. We'll start with a basic history of the Morgan dollar, which contained about 77% of an ounce of silver in it. The coin was a lot more successful than the trade dollar, which preceded it. So this ran from 1878, when the Bland-Allison Act was mandating the free silver, where the government would purchase a bunch of silver and make it into dollars. This would help circulate and lift some of the deflationary effects that were really hurtful to sort of the little man, people like farmers, and wage workers. Those were all depressed, and that had been sort of the unspoken policy since the Civil War. But with this, there was a little bit of boosted sort of economic hope for those types of people, and that would be, William Jennings Bryan, free silver, the populist movement. The politics were very linked to things like the silver dollar, which was, again, inflationary, as opposed to now, if we went on the silver standard, it would be viewed as very deflationary. But the Sherman Silver Purchase Act ends up getting passed in 1890, though mintages drop off pretty sharply not too long after that. 1893, there's a panic and they repeal the Silver Purchase Act. Foreign investment was pulling out. It wasn't really with the best interests. And even in 1883, we'll talk about these specifics here. It wasn't like these coins were really circulating. A lot of them were sitting in bank vaults. There wasn't huge demand for them. So, the Sherman Purchase silver runs out by 1904. They bring it back after World War I in 1921 to be involved with the Pittman Act, which is totally separate, and changed over to the peace at that time. But this specific coin, at this point, a dollar was going to be used to purchase an ounce of 90% silver. So, this was like a 23-cent profit and, 32% or 30% gain for the mint, if you aren't factoring in the expensive coining one, which wasn't that high. So it was pretty profitable. It was always an easy date to find. So a lot of the mint bags that came out, these would be stored in bags of 1,000, contain these coins. So there's never been sort of a tough time getting these. They're generally struck decently, though there were some issues with spacing the dies that struck the coins slightly too far apart, which would leave a few details mushy or have not like really beautiful strikes, but wasn't a huge problem either. And even the mint director was wondering if they needed this many silver dollars. Mintages wouldn't be super low until, again, those early 1890s, but this coin certainly is a good example to pick up for a typeset. I was just presenting on the 1881S. That's going to be a little cheaper in the sort of mint state 66, 67 range, but still, you can get a mint state 63 or 64 for very affordable price with good eye appeal. Make sure to do that. Mint state 65, only $225 is pretty affordable, and then nice jumps to 66, 67, and then a massive one to 68. But there can be definitely some upside to playing the crackout game if you have a seasoned eye. 12 million made again, so some of the mintages in the following 1884, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be similar or a little bit higher to it. And you want to look for the sextupled stars. It's one of the toughest VAMs to find. It's the only one that's in the top 100, hot 50, or hit list 40. But you can see if you look really closely, there's like 6 different I shouldn't really say doublings, but sextuplings, tiny little differences in terms of how those stars end up manifesting on the coin. You can also see the doubled 8. So in the lower loop of the 8, there's going to be a little bit of doubling there. And the values for this really do increase quite a bit. So with the amount of 1883 Morgans that are certified where people hadn't looked for VAMs, it can be a smart idea to search for them. Some of the other dates have tons more, but this is the main one to look for on that one. Then in terms of some of the errors, we've got only partial collars for this date. That's the only ones that I was able to see at major auction houses. But basically, the collars are there to prevent the coins from flattening after they're struck and spreading out and becoming like a thin thing, so they retain the coins in. Sometimes one of them might be a little bit recessed or it doesn't properly close around the plancha as it's being struck, so you'd be able to see something like a railroad rim around the edge, or just an edge that looks like, you know, it's partially formed and partially not formed. So pretty tough. You know, sometimes you can see it on the outside, but you can't do it in this example. And then the same thing on this AU50 coin that sold for $210. But that brings us to the end of these errors. In terms of the proof-like and deep mirror proof-likes, you know, it's pretty affordable. Mint-State 65 gets a little more expensive, but proof-like coins are going to be a little frosty, and you can reflect 2 to 4 inches. You can still see things in its reflection. This is earlier dies, you know, when there's still like the polish on them, or, you know, they've been well prepared and they haven't worn out to just strike normal looking coins. These are really the earliest ones that have been struck, and they have this deep mirrory surface, which is 6 to 8 inches away. You can still read something like a ruler. So those are the values, and then there's proofs, because this is a P mint, so they strike proofs. Here the values, you know, several $1,000s, not a huge difference. I would probably buy proof 65 over 63 because it'll look more attractive. Mintage only around 1,000 of them produced, and then 15,000 is going to be the step up that you have to pay for a really nice example. But that pretty much goes over what we've got. Nothing wild to talk about, but happy to be able to do it. Give you the overview, focus on the sextupled stars, just because that's probably going to be something where you can have an advantage where a lot of other people aren't looking. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretownYT.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.